Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome inside Garage Door Sports, your no-holds-barred weekly discussion on everything in the sporting world. That's right, folks. We are back. Nick McVicker hanging out with my amazing co-host, Irfan Amanji. Irfan, how you doing today, my brother?
Good. It's Sunday. The sun's out. Jeez, it's not snow, it's not rain, it's the sun. I'm actually super happy about that. How you doing?
I'm good. A little tired. Long week. Long
Yeah,
week.
sounds like a long week.
I worked like 55 hours over the past 4 days. 5 days. 4 days, whatever.
It's 10 plus hours a day is all I can
It's
understand
been
there.
a long week. I was at
Well,
work. I'm not even kidding. I was at the office yesterday from 9 in the morning until 11 last night. 14 hours.
yep.
It's a long week,
Okay.
but it's worth it, man. I mean, I work in sports, so it's not all bad.
That's
It's just a
that's
long
the
week.
life. That's the life, not the live, the life.
Those of you who don't understand that joke, we were trying to tweet out "We are live," and it said "We are life." It wanted us to correct it to life. We're not
Well,
life. We're
sports is
live.
life. The
Sports are
Twitter
life,
knew it.
but that's a different issue altogether. We got a lot to talk about, dude. We missed last week.
Mhm.
Schedules were not good. One host decided to stay out really, really late on Saturday night. Yep, that was me.
But for a good reason.
It was a good reason. Yeah, we were celebrating my buddy's engagement. Good reason. We got a lot to catch up on. NBA playoffs have started.
Mhm.
The NHL playoffs start next week.
Yes.
Means we have to wrap up the NHL.
Mm.
Man United is making decisions, whether
Mm.
it's good or bad. They're making decisions. We got a lot to talk about, my friend. Why don't we start with our kickoff segment, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. Calling all kickers and punters in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you everything they've learned over the years. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. Irfan, our topic of conversation today, we're going to go with United.
Okay.
They have named Erik Ten Hag as their new manager. Starting in the summer, he will replace Ralph Rangnick. Initial thoughts. Before we delve into it a little bit, I want what you initially thought when you heard the news.
I thought a better decision instead of getting Pochettino, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But at the same time, I kind of sat there going, when clubs tell you they have like two or three choices, but it always ends up being that random fourth choice that comes out of the blue. That's what I was kind of hoping for because like these two were talked about since Ollie was fired, that there's two potential very good options. And full credit to Ten Hag and Pochettino, but I was kind of going, I really like the Luis Enrique
Yeah.
sort of vibe. If Manchester United can pick a coach that knows how to win, has been there to win, and literally plays with Spain's national team with no striker and still plays well. So I was kind of like, that would have been a wonderful left field choice. But at the same time, if I had the choice between Ten Hag and Pochettino, I'm going with the Ajax manager.
Okay. Fair enough.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Um, do you want my honest opinion when I heard the news?
Tell me.
I don't care. This
You're not
team is a
wrong.
mess right now. I really don't care who the manager is because whoever the manager is needs to just completely tear it down. And until they do that, it really won't matter who it is.
Mhm.
Like, I know that's a very cynical way to look at it. Like, United is one of the best clubs in the world, and they're consistently up in the top four in the EPL. They're having a bad year
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year. I understand that,
Hmm.
but it's true. Like, this club, and the worst part is that the club only has like 3 holes. You realize that, right? There's 3 holes in the
In
roster.
like positional
Yeah,
roles.
there's
Yeah.
3 holes in this roster. Center back,
Hmm.
because one Mr. Harry Maguire keeps taking out his own teammates and causing goals against.
Hmm.
Right? Center defensive mid, because we don't have one.
Yep.
and striker. Because we really don't have a true striker.
I mean, Ronaldo's 37.
Yeah. And he's played very well, but I've never really considered him as an out and out striker. Like he's a winger who plays striker.
Yes,
Right?
because he doesn't
That makes
run up and
sense,
down
right?
the pitch. He doesn't run up and down the pitch anymore. So yeah,
No, so he would be fine in a 2-pair, but he's not like a true striker. You know what I mean?
no.
So there's 3 holes right there. The wingers, I think we're okay for wingers. We got Sancho, we got Rashford, we got Telles, Shaw on the left, we got Wan-Bissaka and Dallo along the right. Right?
We
Or
need a
not
right back
Dallo.
upgrade.
Who's their other
Yeah,
right back? Is it Dallo?
yeah, Diego Dallo. We need a right back upgrade. We need a left back upgrade. But these are upgrades and not
Yeah, but they're not
holes.
holes.
Yeah.
Right? Our center mid with Bruno and, no offense, Pogba needs to go. Got to go.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him right now.
I do too,
really
but
do.
it's not working. It's just not working, right? I think
No.
he needs to go somewhere else for his sake, and United need him to go somewhere else for their sake. Like it's just one of
Yeah.
those. It's not working out. We tried it again. It worked out for a little bit, but it's just not there anymore, and that's fine.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Everyone who's like, "Oh,
No.
this has been a failure," it hasn't been a failure.
No, we won trophies in the first 2 years. He played
It's just
extremely well.
it's
It's just
just not
Mourinho's
working.
third year. Mourinho's third year that didn't work out for him. His personality got in the way, his ability to play got in the way,
Yeah.
and injuries got in the way. And unfortunately, that's how players leave clubs is they're not bad players. They're just not the right fit anymore.
It's just not the right fit, and that's fine. Like I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As good of a player as Pogba is, he just doesn't fit anymore, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And you have Bruno there, who plays a very similar style, maybe a bit higher up the pitch, because Pogba does like to sit a little bit back and get the ball and then distribute, which is totally okay. You have a top quality player there. It's fine. You can move on and be okay with your decision.
Sure.
You still have one of the best keepers in the world. And he's shown that this year, despite the absolutely horrible defense that has played in front of him.
Yeah.
David De Gea has shown that he is a top quality keeper in the world.
He is. There's one hiccup with him, though, is his inability to play the ball. And so if he works on that in the offseason, I don't see him going anywhere.
And you know what? It's funny. I don't even think it's that bad. Like, it's not. There's some
He
keepers
panics.
who literally cannot play the ball.
No, he can, but he panics really quickly on pressure. So
are you talking about the one where he kicked it like straight out when the guy was like coming at
every
him?
time? Every time.
I don't. You know what? As a player, I don't care about that.
No, but I know. But the thing is, he gets overloaded with pressure. He can make a save
because our defense is off.
Oh, for sure. But he can make a save better than I think any keeper in our in the EPL and even in the world. I think he's one of the best shot stoppers there is.
Yeah.
Problem is, it's not like an Allison or Ederson where you can go, you know what, we can all press up and we have a sweeper keeper who can actually distribute plus make those saves.
Fair.
And I think that's where Dean Henderson sort of comes in. So I would not be surprised if the new manager decides to pivot to Henderson a little bit more next year just to get his style of play going.
Maybe
but
that's fine.
David De Gea is still one of the best shot stoppers I've seen in a really long time.
Look, we're not at fault with having a good goalkeeper. We have 2.
No. Yeah.
It's just like I just don't understand how this team is so bad this year with the quality that they have on the side. And I said it from the beginning. I was not convinced Ragnick was the answer. We had this conversation, you and me.
Mm-hmm. Ragnick may not have been the manager that would have been the right option, especially mid-season. But what I do think, and I'll give him credit for this, he's gone into the locker room and been like, I know what the problems are, because that's his mind, right? He's picked up problems. He's isolated the issues. And he's actually spoken about them. Like, if you look at his last 3 press conferences, he's called people out. Like, Eric Bailly made a comment about not playing, and he's like, if this is true, players shouldn't be resorting to social media to explain their things. Come talk to me. I'm managing you. So he's trying to stop these trends. And you're smiling because you have something to say. Go for it.
Okay, Irfan, you and me already isolated the problems with this club.
Yes.
It doesn't take a genius to go in there and do that.
But the problem was every other manager in there wasn't able to get the needle moving. I think Ragnar's gone in, and because of his experience as whatever he's done,
Right.
they're actually been like, oh crap, now we have to fire these people. We have to let these people go. It's time to move on.
Right. And you know what role he would have been great to do that in? The front office role that he's going to take over in the summer.
That or a technical director role.
Front office.
Yeah.
That's my point. Is that they brought him in to manage for half a season knowing that he's going to be in a front office role come the summer. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. If your plan is to put him as a front office person, put him as a front office person.
But then he wouldn't have been able to. Okay, but then he wouldn't have been able to identify the players that we no longer need. He would have been around the team.
No, because you would have named an interim manager with him being a vital part of the team as a front office person. Do not name him manager. The guy has not managed in 3 seasons prior to this year, and even then, he was managing a B-level squad. So don't tell me that this guy was coming in to be a manager. That's the most ridiculous thing. He was coming in to be a front office person.
He was coming in to be the on-field eyes to identify the problems and the right. But like, I get what you're saying that he could have done this from a technical director's role or a front office role, but I think he wanted to get to know the player's mentality because he comes from that whole sports psychologist.
And I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been around the team, but don't name him manager. Name him your front office position and give him full access to everything. He can sit on the bench. I don't care. But if you name him manager, that means that he is now in charge of everything, which is the most ridiculous thing if you were going to move him to a front office role in the summer. Right? That just makes no sense to me because now that's a third voice in less than 6 months that these players are going to have to listen to, as opposed to if you had named an interim manager like, who's the former player that's on the bench? Carrick, right?
Michael Carrick, the one that left, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Darren Fletcher now?
I was thinking Carrick because he was there at the time when they let
Ollie go.
Yeah. And then they brought in Ragnick and then Carrick left.
Yes.
Name Carrick your intern for the rest of the season. Because he already knows the system. He can just implement it for the rest of the season. This season was lost. We knew this season was lost. It wasn't going to do anything. Right? It's not like we were trying to win trophies. It wasn't going to happen.
No.
We know that.
Yeah.
So let him manage for the remainder of the year. Put the interim tag on him.
Yeah. I think
don't put another voice in. It's just the most ridiculous thing.
I full-heartedly agree with you on that. I thought United's best performances came under Michael Carrick in the 3 games that he was in charge.
Yeah.
The issue is I don't think they wanted to give it back to another former player because they were like, well,
but you're not, because you say right at the start, we're giving Carrick the remainder of the year. Because we want to see who is available at the end of the season. Ragnick is coming in to evaluate the team, to take over a front office role, or at the time, he would be taking over a front office role with the goal of evaluating the team to try to figure out who our best potential manager is. That should have been his role.
Right. And we did discuss this. We did say that would have been the logical thing. But when has United been logical in the last 10 years?
And that's the problem right there.
And that's why I'm okay with, and this is like the best case scenario is to have them, all right, come in, identify the issues, stick up for the fans, stick up for some of the players, stick up against management, be like, you guys are actually screwing this team up. And I like what he's done. If we take away the fact that he shouldn't have been interim manager, I do like what he's done. I like the voice that he's brought to the locker room because he's not afraid to call out his best players. And our best players haven't been the best players this season.
No, you're right. It's just I get frustrated with the fact that that's how they handled it. It just shouldn't have been handled this way.
Well, you had minds like Woodward making these decisions, right?
You're right?
Unfortunately. So now I do hope that there's a bit of, Ragnick gets that technical director-ish role and not just what they're talking about with him not being there. He's going to be there once every 6 months or something is what his contract is. Like,
no, he's only obligated to be there once every 6 months. By the sounds of it, he's already made his decision that he's going to be there pretty much the whole time, which is great.
Well, I hope so.
Again, like I have no problems with Ragnick. I need to make that very clear. I don't think he's a bad soccer mind, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. I
No,
just didn't understand the appointment of manager just to take him out of that role in 6 months. Like that
no.
just seems silly.
They were under the impression that because Thomas Tuchel and Jurgen Klopp all sort of came out from his prodigy and his sort of mind and
Right.
mindsets and thinking that he could have come in and done that. But you're right, like he hasn't coached in a while, and the last
No,
team he coached
but the
wasn't
other
at
thing,
top level.
yeah, but the other thing is that yes, those guys came from that position, but you are not giving him the interim manager role. You are
Mm-hmm.
naming him manager for 6 months. There was
Yeah.
no chance that he was going to be extended because you already had the other deal in place,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they had
Mm-hmm.
just named him interim manager and didn't announce that they were moving into a front office role in the summer, it's a different
Yeah.
conversation you and me are having.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's the
Yeah.
fact that they said that he was going to a front office role at the end of the season.
So it
That's
felt
what
like,
bugs
well,
me the most, is because you
yeah.
already know what role you want him in, and now you're putting him in a different role
Yeah.
or
Well, I mean,
the
he did ask.
beginning.
He did ask to coach.
And you know what? I get that, but if you have identified him as a front office person, why are
Mm-hmm.
you giving him that role? Because that's not the role that you want him for. That's not the role that you see him fitting in your club. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I haven't made decisions that make sense to any of us, and
Well,
that's the problem.
that's
That's
where
the problem.
that's why I've been so against Ragnick being the manager, not against him, because again, I think he's a great soccer mind,
Yeah,
but
but maybe from a different perspective.
he's just not. That's not the role you want him in. So all you're doing is confusing the team. You're
Yeah,
confusing the players. Like why do that to yourself?
for players who, to me, have kind of tapped out for a few months now,
And that's
right? Like they've
fine. The
tapped out.
season's lost, which is funny to say because they're what, seventh, sixth, right? They're
They'll,
sixth, and the
they'll go in.
season's
They'll
lost.
play in a Europe. They'll play in Europe. They just will play in a lower Europe league. Like
Yeah,
at that
but
point, you know
like
what? Just shut
it's
up and
so
play.
funny to say that though. They're sixth in the league and the season's lost because
Yes, because
that's what the expectations were.
well, the expectations with three good signings was to be a top three, top four team.
Yeah, I was just talking with somebody about this week. I'm like, United were supposed to be battling for third,
Yes,
potentially pipping second if one of the top two teams struggled a little bit, which they haven't,
yeah,
so it wasn't going to happen. But
no.
that was what we talked about preseason.
We we also said that Chelsea might be the team to win the championship this year because of their depth, right?
We
So
said that they had the potential, but it was
yes,
still City, Liverpool as the number
yeah,
as 1 and 2, and
for
then it was
sure.
going to be United and Chelsea 3-4 in some
Probably
capacity.
some capacity. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean that's why it's the disappointment is you don't expect them to not be in a Champions League spot. You want them to be 1 and 2, but unfortunately, we are 6 to 7 to 10 years behind some of the really good teams. And I say those are long years, but you can see the development that it's taken for City and for Liverpool and
You're at least 2 years behind. At
yeah,
least.
about four transfer windows ish
Yeah,
behind.
4 transfer windows, 2 years, potentially even 3.
Yeah. Can I
That'll do.
ask you a question?
Oh, go
Actually,
ahead. Go
sorry,
ahead.
I have one question. Eric Ten Hag, this is just on my mind. He
Yeah.
came out of the Bayern system,
Yeah.
right? He played under like he coached under Pep Guardiola, then made his move over to the Netherlands. When Bayern Munich had a coaching opportunity last year, how come he wasn't considered for it? Like I haven't looked into this. I was just very curious to see this. Like they chose Julian Nagelsmann and full credit to him. I think he's a wonderful manager and the right decision. But I'm surprised that Bayern didn't consider this like Aaron Hog, especially because he knew the system and he knew the players and he knew the youth coming out of it. So that's kind of why I was just to defend a little bit of the Luis Enrique sort of mindset that I had was if they didn't choose him, what's the catch? What's the catch 22 on this? So just a final thought. If anyone
Um.
knows why that decision came up, because I didn't look into it. It's just
Well, I
something
mean,
that
he
ran through my
managed
mind.
at Bayern too.
The U23s.
Well, they listed as Bayern too,
Yeah.
and he was having success with Ajax. So I don't know if he wanted to leave last summer.
Right. But wouldn't you go back to a team that's calling you? Like, I don't even know if they
No,
made the call.
they might not have called him, but they might have had Nagelsmann as their guy, right? Sometimes you
Right.
have that guy, and that's the only person you call because you get a yes right away,
Mm-hmm.
right? So maybe he was on the short list. Maybe he was top 3.
Had Nagelsmann, I guess, said no, they would have gone
They
to
could.
consider
We don't
him.
know. Obviously, we weren't
No,
part of
exactly.
the
Like I don't know the
decision.
internal thing. I'm just curious to see why a guy who knew the Bayern system, knew the coaching staff, knew the management there, knew all the very good players,
Yeah.
and they still went for a different player, a different
Maybe
manager
it was
who
just a decision that they wanted to give another voice an opportunity, right?
for sure.
Maybe they were
No, it was
worried.
just
Maybe they were worried that they were getting stale. Possible. I'm not saying it's
possible.
true.
Yeah. No, no.
Possible.
I'm just curious to see why
Yeah.
they went over him or why he said no if there was a conversation. But
Yeah. Maybe.
yeah.
It'd be interesting to hear. I don't know. That's a
Sorry, you
great
can go
question you would
ahead.
ask in a press
Yeah.
conference.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oliver Kahn, I have a question for you.
That'll do it for our kickoff segment, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. If you're looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. Let's keep it rolling. NBA playoffs are here, and boy, has the first round been interesting. Not necessarily going to say entertaining because not all of the series have been, but we're going to go with interesting, Irfan. And let's start with the
Okay.
Raptors because,
Cool.
kind of our job.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the brink here, buddy. They are on the brink. But I will say they have looked better the last 2 games. Game 3, they lost in a very disappointing fashion.
They were up by a few.
17
Yeah.
in the first half, which means nothing in basketball.
Nope.
They let that one slip away. There's no doubt about it. They let that one slip away.
Yeah.
But game 4, they came out and they played really, really well. Scotty Barnes
Coming back was nice.
looked like a difference maker, which is crazy to say for a rookie. Van Vliet went out injured in the second quarter, I believe.
Yeah.
Second quarter.
Something like that. He was not impressed.
With a hip strain. He was not happy. Did you see him rip his jersey? Do you know how hard it is to rip a jersey?
No, he was super emotional.
Like, that's tough to do.
Mm.
The other thing we learned about this team is that they are under Joel Embiid's skin and are completely in his head. Completely in his head. Now, granted, I will give Embiid full credit. That 3-point shot to win Game 3 was a very, very good shot. That's a tough shot.
But he's making his shots. He's getting into the paint the way he wants to be. He's playing his game, and that's why he should be.
Yes. Irfan, I don't care who he is.
Yeah.
Point guard through center. A catch and shoot, fade away 3-pointer from the elbow is a tough shot for anybody with 0.9 seconds on the shot clock.
For sure. I have problems with that inbound, though. There was a lot of problems. I think it was it Alvin Williams that's on the call with Matt Devlin?
Yep.
Okay, so Alvin Williams is like, I would stick my biggest guy right in front of Danny Green on that pass, and it didn't happen. I don't know what they were doing, and Embiid just got loose.
There's two schools of logic on those inbound plays. Okay. Either you put the big guy there and you play man-to-man on the other 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one school, and that's what Alvin was saying, and a lot of people have agreed with him. I'm not saying that that's not a bad decision, and you know what? It was probably the decision that they needed to make. The other school of thought is you let that person be free because they can't move, right? They're not going anywhere. And what you do is you have a rover so that you can double team the one guy that you're most worried about, or so that you can protect the rim.
Right.
Right. So that's the other school.
0.9 seconds left, I think at that point was.
But that's why they were trying to protect the rim because they thought it was going to be thrown up towards the rim and it was going to be like a tip-in sort of thing. Because there's 0.9 on the shot clock. There's not a whole lot of time to catch, set, shoot. They're like, screw it.
Well, now we saw it.
There's not a lot of time, but Embiid did the perfect catch, set, shoot. Right? Like, it's very hard to defend perfect. It was literally a perfect shot from Embiid.
It was. I'm not taking away from the shot. I'm just saying that what I understood on that inbound was I think I would have gone, man to man, and just stick whoever.
I agree with you. I'm just saying
because that would have shaved so. Because the thing was, it would have been a catch, and then he would have that player would have had to turn, whereas Embiid just got open.
Yeah,
and it was just a simple pass, right? So that was my issue with that thing. So I don't blame Nurse though because I think he's just been given what he has, and That's
Gave
what
it a try.
happens. And yeah, and when you're blowing leads, I think that's where the issue is. And game three showed me where how important Scotty Barnes is to the squad.
Game 4 showed me how important Scotty Barnes is to the squad. Yeah,
Well, not
I
having him
didn't
in,
realize it in game 3, but I realized it after game 4.
well, we need a difference maker. OG was fantastic in game three.
Yeah.
But had he not been, you would have been like, yeah, I can still see we need a guy who can play the full court.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't realize how important Scotty was until game 4.
True.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
game 3, I couldn't really figure out why we let that one slip away.
Mhm.
Because we have a good defensive team. Like, that's the thing that we've prided ourselves on all year.
For sure.
Raptors is
For sure.
our defensive game. So I didn't realize until game 4 how important that player is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they can win a couple more and make this a really close series? They go
I
to
hope
Philly,
so.
they play on Monday. Embiid
I
is
hope so.
nursing a thumb injury, by the way.
I hope so. Because Harden has been shut down fairly effectively. I think the Raptors doing a good job on him.
They've turned him into a passer.
The guy who went off in game one,
Maxey.
I think he's their biggest concern right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is how do you slow him down? Because his ability to see the court, pass the ball, play any sort of play, and still be able to put up a shot, right? Like that's what they expected from Ben Simmons, and they're getting it from this guy. So to be fair, like I would try and slow him down, put someone on him that's just as fast that will get in his face, and because at the end of the day, like it should be if he's healthy.
Yeah, or Malachi.
That was the other option too. Yeah, just get someone in his face, slow him down, make it hard for him.
Let's make Delano Banton the shutdown point guard. Let's do it.
You have nothing to lose. It's 3-1 in the series. Listen, I think it was Nick Nurse who said something really interesting. They're like, no one's ever won from 3-0. He's like, yeah, but people have gotten to 3-1, and that's our goal.
Yeah.
And next game,
they're taking it game by game, which I love.
And they should. Forget about the first 3 games. Forget about game 3. And focus on the next thing. I mean, if you can force Embiid not to put up a shot, you can do it. But Maxey's the guy that they gotta slow down, I think, personally.
Absolutely. He 100% is, and he looked really, really good. I was at the game. I was courtside Wednesday for game 3. He looked good. And he doesn't seem to be scared, which is great for Philly. But yeah, Barnes looked very, very strong in that game yesterday. I expect more of it to happen. I'm hoping that he can continue to be healthy because they missed him games 1 through 3. There's no doubt about it. They missed him.
Yeah. I can see this going to 3-2, and then game 6 is for me is going to be a toss up. I think if you can get Philly tired, if you can get Philly tired and battered down a little bit, you're going to help Miami or whatever happens there.
If they win game 5 and come home, I have no qualms that they could win game 6
for sure.
And then it's a 1-game series. Right? And I'm not going to say the Raptors are going to pull off the impossible, right? Or sorry, not the impossible, but the very, very highly improbable that is coming back from 3-0. This has never happened before.
No.
But who knows, right? Like the big game is Monday. They win game 5. This is a new series because you're coming home. The fans will be electric in Scotiabank Arena on Monday.
Yeah.
And all you need is 1.
Yeah. I mean, you treat game 5 as game 7. Then you do the same thing with game 6. And then
all you need is 1.
All you need is 1. Listen, you're right. I don't know if it'll happen because it hasn't been done, but I would not put it past a Toronto Raptors team to make it a fair fight.
I wouldn't put it past a Nick Nurse-led Toronto's Raptors team
to make it a fair fight.
Yeah.
But you're going to need Pascal to hit those 30-plus points. You're going to need Scotty to get a double-double. You're going to need Fred to get some assists going. Like, it's going to be all hands on deck.
Absolutely.
And the bench has to come out.
Absolutely.
But I'm proud of this team. I really am super proud of this team. And I know
this team was expected to win 36 games this year going into the season.
It was supposed to be a play-in team, right?
Play-in at best.
Yeah.
They ain't no playing team, boy. They ain't no playing team. Switching gears here to another Eastern Conference series.
Mm-hmm.
And the team that everyone was so afraid of coming into the playoffs is about to get swept.
Potentially.
Potentially about to get swept. They play tomorrow at 7.
Ben Simmons will be there.
Yes, but the guy hasn't played all year. Listen, I don't care how good of a player you are. If you have not played all season and your first game is in game 4 of a playoff series that your team is about to get swept in, how much impact are you really going to have?
He'll play like 9 minutes max.
Yeah, maybe 15 if he's playing well. Right? Like he's not unless it's a close game and they want him in there to try to be a good defender because that's all he's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm okay with saying that. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not ripping on Ben Simmons, but like, how impactful do you think you're actually going to be?
Yeah. How much are they thinking about that Harden trade and going crap? Because I think if they have James Harden, I don't think the series is 3-0.
I do.
Really?
They haven't gotten anything from anyone outside of Kyrie, really.
Right, but then they would
Even
have had
KD's looked bad.
they shut KD down. KD defense in game 2 just looked horrible. I will give credit to Udoka as their head coach here because I've seen him all season, and for some reason that defensive unit they understand that to win this, like Marcus Smart is your defensive player of the year, right?
There's a reason
Like,
for that.
right? You look at the way they shut down, like you're seeing Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, all playing defense really well, and then also contributing offensively, which to me is a good mark of a very good team. Will they get swept at home?
No,
I'm not sure.
I don't think they will, to be honest. I think they
No,
win
I
game
think
4,
it's going to
but
go
I think they
back to the
lose.
Garden. I think it's going to go back to the Garden, and it'll be a gentleman's sweep and not a sweep. But I think the Celtics have been okay with letting Kyrie go off and do whatever he has to do, but then shutting everyone else down.
Yeah.
And no one's come on and been impactful like that. That I keep referring back to game 2, but the defensive play that they did to shut down was it game 1, but it was making sure Kyrie doesn't get a shot away, making sure KD doesn't get a shot away on good defense.
That was game 2.
That was game 2.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna go back earlier in the game when Marcus Smart is like, I don't know what the Nets are doing. They all went into the other end of the court, and Kyrie's trying to inbound it with nobody to get the ball to. It's just solid defense all around. And I was like, for me, that's the moment that's gonna make it, not just shutting down in game 2, but like that moment that Marcus Smart took away the ball. I was like, I actually think the Celtics might win this series because the Nets can't play. Like, it just doesn't seem good.
Yeah. Listen, I saw this stat earlier today, and this is what
Yes.
kind of blew me away. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Kevin Durant in his last 2 games, so game 2 and game 3,
Okay.
has 0 makes in the second half of game 2. 0. 0 made shots in the second half of game 2. And 0 shot attempts in the last 11 minutes of game 3. And this is your MVP caliber player?
Why?
This is your MVP caliber player for the Brooklyn Nets, and he didn't take a single shot in the last 11 minutes of a game that ended 109-103. That's
But
a
why?
problem.
Do we know why he didn't get the ball and take the shot?
It doesn't say he didn't get the ball. The stat is he didn't take a shot.
But why?
That is a great question, Irfan. And if I had an answer for you, I would be on ESPN's broadcast of the NBA. Because I would have an answer that no one else does.
Right. But I didn't know that stat. I know that he struggled. Yeah, he struggled in the last quarter of game 2, and I saw that. I was like, okay, but I didn't recognize that in game 3. I did not.
Yeah, 0 makes in the second half of game 2. 0. And 0 attempts in the last 11 minutes. That's crazy. This is a guy who's supposed to be a leader, your points leader every single night.
Well, the guy who's,
if not
everyone's
second.
Well, the guy who everyone goes, he might be better than LeBron. right? That's a
Yeah.
conversation that keeps
This
happening.
is
Now, is
he's
he
supposed
better
to be
than
the
Steph
best
Curry?
shooting. Supposed to be the best scorer in NBA history. A lot of people have touted him as the best pure scorer in NBA history. And he's not taking a single attempt in the last 11 minutes of a playoff game that your team is about to go down 0-3? Are you kidding me?
I mean, does that say that he's just not getting the look, or does that tell you that the Boston defense is taking away his look?
I think it has to be both.
Yeah.
Because I saw some of the replays. I didn't get a chance to watch the game last was it last night? When did they play?
It
Yeah,
was
last night. They
two
played
nights.
last night. I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I'll be honest. I was working all day. Right? And it wasn't one of the games that was up on our extra TVs. I saw the replays. He kept trying to pass out. All the time. He didn't look like he even wanted to shoot. And
That
he had multiple turnovers because his passes weren't very good. I don't get it. He had 16 points in game 3.
is this an injury thing? Like, is he injured? Something up? Is he lost his confidence? Like something seems off.
Irfan, how many field goal attempts do you think he took in the entirety of game 3? We know he didn't take a single shot in the last 11 minutes. Entirety of game 3.
4.
No,
4 or 5.
higher than that.
Oh, double digits?
okay.
10?
Yeah, it's 11 attempts.
Okay.
He made 6. So he was shooting 54%. How many shot attempts should somebody of his caliber be taking?
Oh, like blink of an eye, 25 or more.
I was going to say 20.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, for him, he should be taking more than everybody. Like, the ball should be in his hand, not just Kyrie's.
yeah. Guess how many Kyrie took?
20 plus?
17.
No.
Your two best
So-
players combined for 28 shot attempts.
Did
Neither
anyone
of
else
them
on their
led the
team have
team
more?
in shot attempts.
So who led them in shot attempts?
Bruce Brown, who also led the team in points with 26.
That's not good. That's not good.
To put it into perspective, on the flip side, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown both had 15 and 16 shot attempts, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Tatum had 29.
Remember that issue a couple of months ago, even last year, where they're like, Tatum wants the ball every time? I think he deserves the ball every time.
Well, right now he
Big
does.
shots are.
Right now he does. It's not even close.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like somebody, I think it was TNT made a comments that I think Jason Tatum is becoming the next big thing, or if he hasn't already, and he's overshadowing Kevin Durant.
Yeah. The funny thing, though, is he also understands when his game is not going well. Because in game 2, he had 16 shot attempts. He only made 5 of them.
Yeah.
And Jaylen Brown had 18. He knows when his game isn't firing. He gets it.
No.
Whereas Kevin Durant shot the ball 17 times in the first in the game on game 2 and only made 4.
Yeah, something's up.
Something's not right, man. Something's not.
Nope.
Last series that I want to talk about quickly, and I mean quickly, we're gonna wrap this up quick. Tebow's Grizz. Man, this has been a fun series, dude. This has probably been the most entertaining series out of all 8 in the first round.
Yeah.
Which I don't think any of us expected.
No, the T Wolves, every game they win, it feels like they've won the championship. So,
Well, they're also
celebrate.
3-0 in the play-in/playoffs when a fan does a protest on the court.
That is also true. Was it their series where the lady tied herself up to the
Yep.
with the chain and they had to
Yep.
like try and pry? No, it's fine.
I don't know if it was. I don't think it was in this series. I think it was in the play-in game. No, because they won the first play-in game. So yeah, it was this series because the first game of the playoffs, the play-in game, was the one where the girl glued her arm to the floor.
Oh, there was another one that had
And then
like
the
chained
next
up
game, the next game in Minnesota, they chained. The girl chained herself to the basket, and then last night they had another protest, and they won last night too.
They've won 3 games. in the
Yeah,
last 5, right? Playing
yeah,
with the Clippers.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that all three of their wins in the playoffs, someone has done a protest.
So are we expecting? What's the bet on Game Five's protest? Are we?
It's in Memphis, so low.
Oh, Game Six.
Game 6, yes. Game 6, like 98%.
But you know something, like at the same time, nobody thought the Grizzlies would be a top 2 team in the West, right? Like that wasn't the plan. That wasn't what
Right.
was predicted. So I mean, these teams are trying to make a name for themselves. The Grizzlies here with John Morant trying to say, "Hey, like that wasn't a fluke," and then Timberwolves with Cat going,
Kind of looks like it was.
"Yeah," and they're looking good. It's fun. It's like remember when Andrew Wiggins was on the Timberwolves and we're like, "Oh, this is
Yep.
not good. This is not good," and now
Speaking of
Timberwolves have
Andrew
figured
Wiggins,
it out.
he's looked very good in Golden State season.
I will. I think the change with people that actually want him there says a lot too.
Well, I don't think they
Plus,
didn't
being
want him
around,
in Minnesota. Hold on, I would like to argue that I don't think that they didn't want him in Minnesota, right? Like I
I think
think
at the end of it, they
at the
were a
end,
little
yeah,
like
no, at the
they
end
were a
for
little
sure. But at the
frustrated with him.
beginning, when he was struggling, it wasn't that they didn't want him. I think he was just not. He didn't feel comfortable there. He didn't
No.
mesh right away, and
Mhm.
that that kind of sucks.
I meant sort of at the end of his tail, and they were kind of
Yes,
happy to be like,
absolutely.
yeah, we need a
I
reset
agree.
there. Yeah,
I agree.
but then going to Golden State and coming into practice and looking at Clay and Steph and Draymond and Iguodala and
Jordan
Steve Kerr,
Poole.
and you're like, yeah, Jordan Poole, and you're like, I may have to pull up my game,
Yeah,
and he's a
found a
great
role.
bench guy.
He's found
He's
a
a great
role.
bench guy.
Got to
Yeah.
find your role, man. Got to find your role. Anyways, that was besides the point. Not what we were talking about. Got to get the Andrew Wiggins love in. Go Canada. Uh, but yeah, this Minnesota Memphis series has been fun. Both teams are throwing haymakers. It feels like every game.
Oh,
This is a 7-game series to me.
I hope so. I want to see it go to 7.
I would love to see it go to 7. It'd be so much fun. You had another series that you mentioned quickly that I can't remember what it was.
The game in Atlanta the other night,
Yes.
Heat Atlanta, that was just
Yes.
ridiculous. I mean, the Heat were up by a mile, like they were gone. But then I think in a span of 7 minutes, the Hawks went on a 21-7 run, and Trey Young was just hitting threes from like Damian Lillard range at one point, and you're like, okay, this guy's hot. This game's done. So if that continues, I think the Heat will have some trouble. I know Kyle Lowry left a game, and I think that's when the game sort of pivoted a little bit in the favor of the Hawks. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Eric Spoelstra knows how to get out of these situations, so I'm not too worried about them. But Trae Young went off. That whole Hawks team was like, we're gonna shoot from everywhere, and it worked.
Yep.
So very good series, very entertained. I love the crowd just jumping up and down. Even I think it was split on court side between the Heat fans and the Hawk fans, and both of them were just cheering on both sides at one point because it was like, holy crap, what is this game?
Yeah.
So,
Lowry is questionable for Game 4, by the way.
Yeah, so
that could be
the
an
mind
issue.
It could be, but I think Spoelstra will have a backup plan instead of getting caught off guard during the game.
I know, but like that could be an issue.
Yeah.
Kind of brought him in to be your point guard and not gonna play Game 4.
I think Hero was leading the point guard for most of the game after that.
Which
wasn't bad,
not
but
bad,
I mean you still need someone.
That's a demotion right there. Like that is a downgrade. Quickly, we got to talk NHL because the season is rounding out. Like it's Leafs Lightning on a collision course for round 1. It's not confirmed yet, but that's the most likely scenario right now. I think it's like 9 or 75% or something.
Yeah,
guaranteed that it's going to be these two. Good matchup for the Leafs. Bad matchup for the Leafs. What do you think?
Let's forget about the midweek game.
That was
8-1.
That was a bad game.
Christ.
Like you look at everything about that game. It's a messed up lineup. It's Shalgren in net. Matthews wasn't even playing. Like you kind of knew that was coming, right?
And then Tampa Bay Stars are like, let's go out there and actually flex a little bit, right?
Yeah,
and that's what it seemed. And the fight and the roughness, I was like, it felt like a playoff game to begin with. I mean, last night's game against the Florida Panthers also felt like a playoff game, right? Like the Tampa Bay game felt like game 3 of a series where you're trying to get the next win. Like it's 1-1 and you're trying to find that winner. That's what it felt like. And then the Florida series was like a game 6 sort of atmosphere where you're like, it's just back and forth.
Yeah.
So like two very good tests for the Leafs, and I know they end the season with Boston, so that's another bit a nice little thing just before the playoffs test where there are mentally. I think that's the biggest question for the Leafs is where are you at mentally? Because you can lose all these games or win all these games, but are you ready to play playoff hockey?
Yeah. No, I
And it
agree with
looked
you.
like they were. I mean, Campbell wasn't bad. He was moving around the crease really well last night, so that's a good sign for the Leafs. But I think one thing that they're gonna have to be careful with is if you're tired, you can't be running in trying to make a play like that. The one that led to the Florida goal. Sorry, it kind of went off a little bit, but
No, it's all
the
good.
Florida goal, it was John Tavares was gas and he still tried to go down. And so was Nylander on that play. I would have been like, just turn around,
Oh,
slow
on
it
the game
down
winner last night.
on the game winner. Yeah, like they were both gassed, and it
That's,
was like
but you know what?
I, I get
That's
I get it's
overtime.
3-on-3.
3-on-3
Listen, I
overtime.
get it's 3-on-3. I know it's overtime, but you know what? Just slow it down, bring on fresh legs, and keep going because they were both exhausted coming back,
Yeah.
and that led to the 2-on-1, right?
But what
So
what I'm saying about that goal is it's 3-on-3 overtime in a game that literally means nothing. Like
you're right.
both of these teams are kind of locked into their two roles. Like I think in the grand scheme of things, I don't mind that, but I get what you're saying. When it comes to playoff time, that's when you have to okay, we're gonna go back, reset, get the fresh legs out there, and try again. Right? That I
And I
agree with
hope,
you 100%.
and that's why I keep saying the mentality thing is like if with 3-4 games left in the season, that's what you should be thinking about is how do I make sure that there's
Right.
fresh legs coming on because we need to come in waves.
Right.
And
Fair enough.
so
Fair enough.
that's my biggest thing. But that Leafs Lightning series, back to your question, is going to look fun. I hope that's the series because I think the Leafs can go toe to toe with the defending Stanley Cup champs. I think they have the skill set. I think their defense is much better than they were last year. I think Campbell's pretty good the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So run
He
with
looked
that.
he looked really good against Florida.
His
Like that
side to
was the
side
best
movement was
we've seen him
good.
in a while.
Yeah.
The East, all 8 teams are locked in. By the way, it looks like we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have, as I said, it's gonna be Toronto, Tampa is the most likely. Florida looks like they're probably gonna end up playing Washington, although it could end up being Boston, depending on how those two teams finish out the season.
Yeah.
Carolina, who I thought was a guaranteed lock to finish first in the Metro, might be struggling down the stretch here because the Rangers are 2 points back with 3 games to go for both teams. So that could flip flop, but everyone's locked in. We know the 8 teams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The West, on the other hand, Irfan, there are still 3 spots to play for.
How exciting. But congratulations to the Oilers and the Flames. Battle of
Yes, two
Alberta
Canadian
is
teams locked in,
yeah.
and they won't
Um,
play each other first round. The chance we get an all Canadian matchup in the Pacific Division final,
yes.
go to the Western Conference final.
Yes.
Guarantee one team in the Western final. Big story, obviously, Vegas is out right now. 4 points back of Dallas and Nashville for the 2 wildcard spots because Nashville and
Mm-hmm.
Dallas are both tied for those spots right now on
Yep.
93 points. No Robin Leonard the rest of the year for Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the year the Vegas Golden Knights do not make the playoffs for the first time ever?
Yes.
You're going to call it? So the
Simple.
you're saying Kings, Nashville, and Dallas are going to get those last 3 spots.
I think so. They're 7 points behind the Kings with 4 games thing, and they haven't been great down the stretch. Like, okay, fine, 6-3-1, but and the
I'm not
Kings are
arguing
still
with
playing.
you,
The Kings are gonna be fine.
but it's the
I
other
think they
2
need,
teams where they're 4 points back with a game in hand on Dallas.
agreed, but I think you look at the Preds and you look at Dallas, and I can't see them give up that spot unless they lose the next 4 games,
Yeah, Dallas
which is
would have to
possible.
lose 2.
Who is Dallas playing down the stretch here? They
Great
play
question.
they play the Golden Knights next.
So that's a huge game.
Yeah, and then they end the season with the Yotes and the Ducks.
Good.
So I think we'll see how that game goes, but see the Golden Knights record, who they play down the thing. They play the Stars, they play the Hawks, and they play Blues. So they play 2 teams that are currently in a playoff spot, and the
And the Sharks
Preds
tonight.
and the Sharks tonight, and then the Preds have the Wild tonight. They have Calgary next. They have the Colorado Avalanche after that,
Ooh,
and then the Coyotes. They have three
ooh, that's three
solid.
tough games.
So I think if anyone might fall out, it could be the Preds. Could be the Preds
Could be.
because they'd have to win at least three of those.
How is the Kings not technically clinched a spot?
Because there's 4 games
Oh,
left
because Vegas is
for.
4 and they're only
So I
7
think
back.
if
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
I
if the
got you. They
Kings,
need 1 point, basically.
if well, the Kings get a point off of the Kraken on Wednesday,
Yeah, they need
but
one.
by then I think we'll know. I think we'll know if they've clinched or not. Because if Vegas loses, I mean, yeah, Vegas loses, then there you go.
That's a huge blow to a Vegas team that was. They have a good roster. There's no doubt about it. You look at that forward group, that's a good roster.
Yep.
And they're not. It looks like they might fall out of the playoffs. It's a shock to me.
It
That's the
is.
best way to put it.
It is a shock. I mean, it shows you how important a 1A 1B might be, or being
It
able
just
to
shows you how
platoon your
important
goals.
health is. I think
Yes,
this year more than
that too.
anything, right?
That too.
Like think about how
Yeah.
many of their big stars have missed significant time this year. Stone, Patches,
Eichel coming in.
Eichel.
It took him a while to get back into it.
But I just mean like he didn't start the season. So he
Right.
came in halfway through and was still already hurt. So I won't say Eichel in
Okay.
this conversation just because I'm talking
Gotcha.
about guys who started the season, got hurt, and have been trying to get
Yeah.
healthy. Leonard obviously is a big one. Didn't Pietrangelo miss some time too? Like, when you have your big guys getting hurt, it causes some problems. Two races still up for grabs are the point total and goal total races as well.
Mm-hmm.
Connor McDavid currently leading the Art Ross race with 116 points, but he's only 2 up on Jonathan Huberdeau, who has been on fire lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Johnny Gaudreau's sitting there at 111 as well, so like it's not out of the realm of possibility if he goes off in his last 3 games or 4, however many games Calgary has left. He could put his name in that as well. Rocket Richard race is a little bit, I don't want to say figured out, a little bit more figured out, but it's closer to being figured out. Matthews 4 goals clear with 3 games for him and Draisaitl, who's at 54. I think Kreider's out of it unless he has 3 hat tricks in his last 3 games. I don't think he's going to catch Matthews. I'm not saying it's impossible, folks. I want to make that very clear. It is possible. I just don't see it happening. Yeah, I think Matthews probably has that one locked up.
I would say so, unless Draisaitl decides, because I think out of Kreider and Draisaitl might be the most obvious choice for 3 hat tricks in the last couple of games. I think I could see that happening, but no, I think Matthews hit 60, and then that's all we're looking at. I think he has the potential to hit 60.
Yeah, I mean they have 3 games left. I think the Leafs. All right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Needs 2 goals in 3 games. Not impossible for him. Calgary has 4 games left. Oh, it's
a couple points there.
The trophy's not his yet. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, but at least it's most likely going to Matthews. Whereas the Art Ross, I could literally see it going to 2 of those guys, just depending on how they finish the season between Matthews or McDavid and Huberdeau, because Huberdeau has been on fire.
Like a fantastic year for him and the Panthers in general.
Yeah, Barkov is so good. I kind of feel bad that Barkov is getting overshadowed by Huberdeau. I know it's the point total is not even comparable this year. Barkov only has 88 points. And notice that I just said only 88 points.
I know.
Because we're talking about Huberdeau with 114.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that Barkov's having a bad year. He's having a very good year. He's over a point per game pace. He has 39 goals this season. But Jonathan Huberdeau has 84 assists.
Hi. Wow.
What was my point total for Barkov there, Irfan?
Yeah, 88.
88. Huberdeau has 84 assists.
Yikes. Yeah.
He is not only leading the league in assists, he's leading the league by 10 in assists over Artemi Panarin.
Yeah. Red man.
And in his last 3 games. Huberdeau has 6 points. How many of those do you think were goals?
2.
0.
Oh,
All
all assists,
6.
all
In his
apples.
last 5 games, he has 9 points. How many do you think are goals?
1.
2. He had 2 goals against Winnipeg.
Should have asked that question first.
You almost had it. I'll give you half credit.
Thanks. No,
He's
this
had.
is.
You know what's crazy? Oh
Mm,
my god, I'm gonna count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 17. In his last 17 games, Irfan,
hmm
how many do you think he has not had a point in?
1.
1 game.
Yeah.
I bet you will never be able to guess which team it was.
The Islanders. Okay. No.
Detroit.
You know what though? The Wings have been playing decent hockey. You know what? I believe it. That's fine.
No, but like if I told you, the list of teams, okay, that he's played in
Mhm.
the last 17: the Anaheim Ducks, Montreal
Okay.
Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, Toronto Maple Leafs. They played Montreal again, Chicago, New Jersey, Buffalo, Toronto again, Buffalo again, Nashville, Anaheim again, Winnipeg, Detroit, Islanders, Detroit, Toronto. I can think of many teams on that list that I would guess he would have not maybe had a point against. Detroit would not have been at the top of my list.
No.
Toronto would have been at the top of my list. Nashville would have been up there. Winnipeg probably would have been more up there. But no, it's Detroit, the team that has given up 11, 10, 9, 8, and 7 goals in games this year.
But then also scored like for fun
I
as
know.
well.
I know.
These guys.
But
That's
Irfan,
fun.
this is the first time in NHL history that a team has given up every number between 1 and 11 in a game.
They're a special group. Special. But
Special.
Art Ross, Rocket still up. Who wins Hart then? If Jonathan Huberdeau gets tied, let's say in points with Connor McDavid at the end of the season, is he your Hart Ross Trophy winner?
The Art Ross? Or
No,
the Hart?
sorry, Hart. Sorry,
You
Hart.
said Hart Ross. That's why I was confused. I'm like,
I'm
I don't
confused them.
know. I
No, the
don't know.
Hart Trophy. Because
Um,
like yeah, Matthews leading the league is great, but like Huberdeau's done it on both sides as well.
yeah.
Because I mean, McDavid's most valuable player in the league. I have no problem giving that to him. But I think this
That's
season,
what the Hart is.
no, but I mean
Oh,
like
okay.
overall, like over a course of like the year. But I have no issue going to you that if you take Jonathan Huberdeau out of Florida, I think you kind of start to worry more than if you take Connor McDavid out because Leon Draisaitl will
Right.
just be that
I will. I
worse, right?
don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I get your point.
Yeah, like I mean, like I think
Because
Draisaitl is a better
Florida's
number two.
yes,
Yes,
but I think Florida's deeper as a team.
they are,
Whereas if you
especially with
take
adding
McDavid out
Claude
of
Giroux.
Edmonton, they're not as deep.
No, but I meant like so. But we know the value of McDavid over
Yeah.
the years that
Yeah.
he's been there. But I
Yeah.
think this season, I would say from season by season, that's what they do. I mean, Huberto might be the most valuable player.
Fair enough. I get what you're saying.
I'm trying to. I think there's
I
so many
actually think it
decisions.
still goes to Matthews.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he is going to hit 60, which hasn't happened in how many years? I know COVID shortened seasons have kind of wiped those out, but 60
Mhm.
doesn't happen very often,
Nope.
right? He's also one of the best defensive centermen in the league right now. The way he's played this year,
I'll give him
whereas
that. Yeah.
Huberdeau's a winger,
Yeah.
right? So if we're talking pure value to his team and the way that he was able to legitimately dominate games by himself sometimes when the Leafs
Mhm.
second, third, and fourth lines just were not doing anything. Matthews and Marner were able to dominate games because Matthews was so good defensively, turned it around, and then went up the ice with Marner and was able to do stuff offensively. So I
Mhm.
think this season alone,
Mhm.
he is the most valuable player to his team. The most impressive player in the season to me is Huberdeau, but the most valuable to his team is Matthews, and that's two different things. So that's why
For
for
sure.
me,
No,
I
no. I
think it's
mean,
Matthews.
that's fine. Like, I mean, I don't think I'd argue with anyone getting it if they're leading something or playing
Yeah.
well. Like, I don't think you can't go wrong. Like, I mean, if someone said Roman Yossi is your most valuable player
He's fourth
in the
to
league,
me. That
I would
matters.
be like, I also wouldn't mind that either because I
Yeah.
think he's been wonderful. So anyway,
I think he's fourth to me.
Yeah.
Yossi. I think it's Matthews, Huberdeau, Shesterkin, Yossi, McDavid.
Mm.
This season. Just for this season, by the way, folks. I would like to point that out. I don't want people jumping at me. Oh, well, McDavid's better. Not the conversation we're having.
It's not a different company.
Not what we're talking about here, folks. All right, Irfan, let's wrap this up. We got to get out of
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Final thought for the week. Hit me with it. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, go first. Yeah.
League One Ontario started this week for footy fans here in the great province of Ontario. I love League One. It's a lot of fun to watch. If you get an opportunity, watch some of the games. I'm actually calling the women's game later today for Guelph Union.
Yeah.
But it's a fun league, and this is where some of the CPL players are cutting their teeth before they get to the CPL.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This league, BC League One, BC, and what is currently called the Premier League de Soccer de Quebec, which will be called League One Quebec next season. They had already done all their advertising, and they didn't want to change everything. Totally okay with that.
Yep.
These leagues, this level is a lot of fun to watch. Get it if you get an opportunity, take the chance. If you're a soccer fan, watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Mm.
Your turn.
Sad news from the Montreal Canadiens with another great passing away, Guy Lafleur. I was trying to think of something, and thoughts and prayers to the organization and to Guy's family. One of the best halves of all time, you know. There's this beautiful picture of him, Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, and I forget the fourth person, but it's just
Bossy.
You're like Bossy, right? Like you're just like, all right.
And Bossy passed away last week.
Last week, right?
Which is why that photo was circulating. I know exactly which photo you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? But again, thoughts and prayers to one of the best players to ever play the game.
And man, like you think about all the pressure that guy had on him when he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
He was following two legends. Two. And he had to be the guy. And not only did he reach that, he may have exceeded expectations, which is crazy. He was that good of a player.
Yeah.
And even a better person, by the sounds of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're right.
He will absolutely be missed. The good one, Irfan. Well done.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that'll do it for our show today. If you want to follow us, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Nick McVicker and at Irfan Manji, respectively. Also on Instagram at both. If you want to follow the show, it's at Garage Door Sports on Twitter, at Garage Door Sports Network on Instagram, because I've been doing that wrong for the longest time. Forgetting that we changed it a while ago. We're not talking about it.
Wow.
We're not talking about it.
That's okay.
Make sure you tune in next week. Hopefully, we will be doing an NFL recap show, depending on schedules, assuming that's what we will be doing, as well as looking ahead to the CFL draft, because that happens the week after on May 3rd. Lots to talk about. We didn't even talk about the NFL draft. It's happening this Thursday, by the way, folks.
Mm-hmm.
We will not be doing a draft show this year, unfortunately. Schedules did not allow it, but we will have lots more for you coming up next week. Tune in then, and until then, thank you for listening. We'll see you there.